What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I'm your host, the big man on campus. We are here live on a Thursday, June 24th, 2021. Hope you're all having a great day wherever you are. We're here every day breaking down the NBA card throughout the NBA playoffs, all the way through the NBA Finals. Another game tonight, Game 3, Suns-Clippers. I've enjoyed this series. Looking forward to Game 3. Last night, Bucks in Atlanta. That was a wild game. We'll recap it. A surprising result at the end of the day. We'll get into that as well. Let's bring in our co-host, our guest for today. We'll start out with Kate Constable. Kate, you've killed it on this show. You've been on twice, and you've won both times. We'll see if we can't make 3 times a charm here.
Yeah, I'm hoping to keep my hot streak alive.
Love it. Great work. We'll get Kate at the end of the show to tell us what she's been working on like we generally do with the guests. Kate is doing her thing. Let's get to Spread Astaire. Spread's been here. He's been hanging with us, one of our favorite people. Spread, last night, you and I were dead wrong on the Bucks Atlanta. And look, it's not surprising because I always get the Bucks games wrong. How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm doing great. You know, the talking heads on ESPN said it was going to be a disaster without LeBron and KD, and the ratings are in. They're higher than ever. People love these new faces, and Trae Young, boy, he's really put himself on the stage. So, missed the under yesterday, finished at 229 on a 226. Felt like the game could have been 240. Completely missed it. I leaned towards the Hawks, but the under was my favorite play. A little disappointed that I missed that, but it was a lot of fun to see them going up and down the court. So I'm interested to see how I'm going to adjust to break that game down for 2. But really enjoyed Trae Young's performance last night, and you just got to give him all the credit in the world.
Thanks for watching the show. We appreciate it. And you know what? You know what makes me really sick about this game spread? There was a prop I talked about, Gallinari under. I knew he wouldn't play well. And what do you know? He doesn't play well. But thanks for watching the show. We appreciate it. If you're watching us live, you're watching it on the replay, which people do. Thank you for joining us here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, make sure you hit the like button as well if you enjoy what you're seeing here at PicksWise. All right. Last night, as Spread alluded to, Hawks win 116-113. Big dogs. They were at 1.8-point underdogs. Didn't even need the 8. They won the game. I like the Bucks. Thought it was a great spot. But as usual, the Bucks are gutless. And I know people say, well, they beat the Nets. Well, I know they beat the Nets. But, they did it without a fully healthy Nets team, and they needed 7 to do it. Look, Trae Young, incredible last night. 48 points. Herter, Collins, and Capella were honorable. Bogdan Bogdanović didn't play well again. Yeah, they got nothing out of Gallinari, really. Lou Williams didn't offer anything. And they still were able to win the game. Are we just on a collision course, Kate, for Atlanta and Phoenix? I mean, it just seems like neither of these teams can do any wrong right now. Atlanta win the game on the road as almost double-digit dogs. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was. And I took them I got them at plus 7.5. So I had a little faith in them going in. I still didn't think they would win by any means, but thought they would at least cover the spread. And like you said, a couple guys, Bogdanović not playing great, but they still find a way to get it done. And we've talked about on the show before how they just don't go away. They're like that pesky little brother that is just always hanging around. And they do a really good job of that. And then on the other end, Milwaukee, to open a series has never been great. So I hope that they are able to make a few adjustments and make this series competitive, just because that would be very fun for all of us to watch. But Milwaukee has some trouble on their hands, I think a lot more than they had anticipated and the public had anticipated going into this series.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is, if Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jrue Holiday, and Chris Middleton don't give you 20 plus and Giannis is give you 30 plus, they're not going to win. And Chris Middleton's spread continues to be inconsistent. Some nights he looks real good. Some nights he doesn't look good. Has Bryn Forbes made a shot in the last month and a half? Pat Connaughton doesn't give you much. You're missing DiVincenzo. PJ Tucker's a net negative on offense.
And they played Jeff Teague yesterday. Why are they playing Jeff Teague?
Yeah. No,
he hasn't played in games.
This is Budenholzer, man. He doesn't – he's a lot like Doc Rivers, a spread. He's just doesn't know what he's doing. And surprisingly, he didn't really know how to figure out Trae Young either. Is Trae Young just real? I mean, is he just the best player in the NBA, or are teams just not able to figure out this floater stuff and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, obviously fantastic performance from Trae Young, but I'm not ready to put the shovels on the dirt for the Bucks yet. 8 of 36 from three, absolutely terrible there. You got to expect that that's going to get better. Middleton only 6 of 23, 0 of 9 from three, 15 points. That's not going to get it done. Lopez was 1 of 4 from behind the arc. Just not going to get it done overall. But I expect those things to get better. Completely agree. Those Jeff Teague minutes, like, what are we doing here? We should be shortening the rotation. But I do think that Milwaukee can come back. And, I mean, Trae, 47 points. I don't know if we're going to expect that every night. And lost in all this is it wasn't necessarily like an efficient 47 points. That's why I said this game could have easily been 240 or higher. He took 45 possessions to get that 47. So a lot of it was just usage, which you guys had alluded to because Bogdanovich didn't look 100%. Seemed to be the smart move here, but there's definitely room for Milwaukee to improve, and I'm not ready to count them out yet. I still wouldn't be surprised if they were able to win this series.
Yeah, I hate the Bucks. I really hate this team. I hate them. Gutless clowns. Listen. I've lost more money than I can explain on this team. If I took this team out of the playoffs, I would have a wildly high record. It's just brutal. I hate this team. I'm saying this now. I am not betting on these sides or totals in this series. The rest of it, I'm just looking to look at props. I'm done with them. Thanks for watching. If you're out there, thanks for watching. If you're joining us, what do we got here? Giannis can't lock up 5-foot Trae Young. Absolute joke. Yeah, that seems. Again, I don't know that he's always guarding him, but yeah, that seems to be the issue. I don't know why it's so difficult for these long, lengthy guys to guard Trae Young, but
I mean,
Trae Young.
Lopez did a terrible job of it yesterday in their drop coverage. Trae Young's not shooting well from outside. He gets into the lane every single time in the first half and does that little floater over Lopez. He's backing up, not even stepping up to guard him.
Yeah, it's pretty ruthless, man. He's pawned not only the Sixers, but now he's pawning the Bucks. They continue to march on. It seems like they're destined, guys. Very interesting. All right, let's get into today's action. Big news coming out of Phoenix's camp, according to who is it? Dave McMenamin. It looks like Chris Paul will play tonight. Gigantic news. But you look at this line, and it's been reflected. Suns now a favorite. I told you yesterday, Spread, even if Chris Paul didn't play, you kind of had to wonder, why were the Clippers an underdog? Or the Clippers were a favorite. Why were they a favorite? You had to wonder, kind of, I thought. But tonight, Suns 1.5-point favorites. Totals 221.5. Clippers have, shot the ball pretty well. Clippers, I don't think, have played poorly. They've been kind of right there, but they just don't have that knockout punch. They need, Kawhi Leonard, and they don't have him in this game and in this series. DeAndre Ayton has completely dominated them inside. So when you go small, which Tyronn Lue wants to do, it's a problem. I don't know that Zubac or DeMarcus Cousins can guard him. It's been a problem. This is obviously a must-win game. We know the stakes here. If they don't win this game, it's over. So you're going to obviously get a great effort. But you look at all they did in Game 2, and they still couldn't win. You just got to almost feel bad for the Clippers. They've just had some bad luck in this playoffs and in this series. And it seems like the Suns have had every piece of good luck. They go down and they get Chris Paul back in that Lakers series, and he takes them to victory. You look at in this series. They don't have him in the first 2 games, and they still go 2-0. They've got a great bench. They play great defense. Crowder's been an absolutely terrific addition. I'm going to lead it off. I don't really have any secret to where I'm going here. In 2 games, Ayton's averaging 22 and 11. He's shooting 76% from the field. And his point total and rebound total combined is not really adjusted that much. It's still not in the 30s. It's still not even in the high 20s. It's at 27.5, which I think it should even be higher. Points, rebounds over 27.5. DeAndre Ayton. I bet it the first 2 games it's hit. I'm betting it here. Third time's a charm. Kate, let's start with you. Phoenix is a 1.5-point favorite. Are we starting to get to the point where this just kind of looks like the Nuggets Jazz series, where you just don't really know why? Was it? No, it wasn't the Nuggets Jazz. It was the Nuggets Phoenix, where Phoenix was an underdog, I think, in Game 3. And you're thinking, why the hell are they an underdog here? Are we starting to feel like they're just, the Clippers just don't have enough to beat the Suns in any game?
Yeah, I think so. And I will first say I love the Ayton over points prop. I had that written down as mine, over 20 points at plus 210. So that's what I'm going to take tonight. But to answer your question, yes, I think so. And I think part of the reason is the Clippers have kind of gotten screwed schedule-wise. They've played back-to-back, or not back-to-back, every other day, 5 of the last 10 games. And it's all because ABC has a Sunday afternoon rights deal with the NBA to have a game. And so instead of getting that 3-day rest in between series, they had to play with only 1-day rest. And I think that's going to catch up to them here as this series goes on. And so I like where the Suns are at, especially if Chris Paul is coming back. I think that they can run the table here, maybe. But I think that they definitely will win this series. And I think things are just kind of catching up to the Clippers in terms of health, one with Kawhi, how well rested they are, and then how they deal with Ayton. I think he's going to be a huge problem for them going on. And so far in these first 2 games, they really haven't had an answer for him at all. So I like the Suns here. I already took them at -1. I know the line's moving right now, and it likely will a little bit more if Chris Paul comes back and that is confirmed. But I like the Suns tonight, despite what the numbers might say, because the Clippers have been underdogs at home 5 times this year, and they're 4-1 against the spread and 4-1 straight up. But I'm going to bet against the numbers tonight.
Yeah, I mean, spread, when you look at the line and when you ask yourself, what doesn't make sense here? And I know for me, I've been gambling a long time. To me, it says, well, the Suns are up 2-0, and they did it without Paul, and now he's coming back. Mm-hmm. And they're only a 1.5-point favorite. We've seen, and I think obviously the one concern with Ayton props tonight is, or any props with the Suns tonight is, Tyronn Lue makes adjustments like he has in these last couple. But the thing with Ayton is I don't know what adjustment you make, because his adjustment has always been going small. And if you do that here, I mean, which they've kind of done, it's going to be a problem. So I'm not necessarily worried about Ayton props, but Kate mentions, obviously, and I agree with her in some aspect that, maybe they're just not as good as the Suns, and I think that might be clear. Look, if Kawhi Leonard were here, it'd be a different series, but he's not. I think one of the commenters makes a good point. If you had Serge Ibaka, I think that would help in this series as well with Ayton, but he's not there. You're depending on Reggie Jackson and Terrence Mann, and not that they shouldn't be dependent on, but they're not the ideal people. I'd much rather have Paul and Booker and Bridges and Crowder and those kind of guys. But are we looking at this line and just kind of being suckered into taking the Suns here? Because that's how it kind of seemed in Game 3 of that Nuggets series, and they waxed the floor. Do you agree that the Suns are just better than the Clippers? Is this a trap line? It could seem like it.
I agree the Suns are better than the Clippers, but I'm going to take the plunge and bet the Los Angeles Clippers tonight.
Yeah.
I feel that we're going to get so much more improved. Look at things that they can improve. Paul George, 1 of 8 from 3, 5 of 10 from the line. Got to think that gets a little better. Of course, we know about the 2 missed free throws at the end. Marcus Morris, only 3 from 11, right? He's got the easy flow chart. Is he at home? Take his overs. Is he on the road? Take his unders. So I expect a much better performance there from Marcus Morris, and he's been key on their ability to play small. So I like the Clippers to come back here. I do think they will get a friendly whistle as well. I think there is a little bit of incentive to keep this thing going, and we saw it in Game 2, right? I mean, did anyone go away from that and say, boy, that was a fairly officiated game? The NBA really, they seem like they do want Los Angeles, or at least this series, to keep going, because, I think Phoenix comes away with this. I think that we counted them out, especially in the Mavericks series. Like, I was writing them off after they lost 2 games. And so I didn't do that in the Jazz series because I tried to learn from it, and I expected as well to continue here tonight. So I do like Phoenix to win the series, and I think a lot of what you say is definitely going to come true by the time the series is over. But I think the Clippers do get their one game of the gentleman's sweep tonight.
Yeah, and it's funny because both guests are going against each other. You can make cases. I really can. I mean, and again, that's the gambler in me that says, I know how gambling generally works, but then I also say, well, are the Suns just the team that always is going to defy that because they have before? Look, I'm sure you're going to say, well, Jeff, get to the situation. What's going to happen? I hate to do it because she's hot, she's killing it, she's winning games. I've been gambling it too long. I think the Clippers win. I agree with spread. I think. And you'll probably be right, Kate, but it's just hard. I think they don't give away. These casinos and all these betting companies, they're not billion-dollar businesses for giving stuff like this away. I just, I think they won a ton last night with Atlanta, and that worked out. And I think the Clippers try to do something here. Kate, how do you feel about those points? Are you worried about the gambling side of things, that this line just looks very shady?
Yeah, a little bit. Whenever lines are like this where I kind of can't figure them out, I'm typically wrong. So you guys are probably smart taking the Clippers tonight.
But you're going with the better team, so
yeah.
At least you have
but this is a line where it feels like the books are trying to sucker you one way or the other.
Yeah.
And especially with the uncertainty of if Chris Paul's playing and how the line will change then. I definitely agree with you that this is a tricky one to look at and to pick, but I got to go with the better team.
Yeah, and look, I don't think that's a bad idea. The Suns are machines, and they're terrific. I mean, is there any secret that they're not the best team left? I mean, are people still is anyone here gonna disagree with me there? I mean, if they've not been the best team this whole time, I mean, since the playoffs started.
I mean, do we take quality of competition into play though, right? I mean, like, does sweeping the Nuggets equal beating the Brooklyn Nets or even beating the Philadelphia 76ers for that matter? I know that we're down on the 76ers, but that team's at the end, the playoff team was 5 times better than what we saw from the Nuggets.
Yeah.
That would be my only argument, is that like the boxers build up the boxers by going against weaker competition. That they've just been kind of knocking out the Glass Joes and the.
I will say too, when it comes to Ayton, I just don't. And Kate, you made a point about Ayton over 20 points at plus 210, 20 or more points. That's a great shout. I think you look at both games, he scored 20 and 24. That would get you the money here. You look at really what do you do here, because Zubac is too feeble. He can't guard Ayton, and when Cousins is on the floor, they've been an absolute mess. I mean, their rating with him on the court has been terrible. If you could take Zubac out of the game just for fouls or just because he can't defend, Ayton's going to continue to do well. I think we've noticed in these playoffs, whether it was Joel Embiid, whether it was Nikola Jokic, whether it's Ayton, all these guys, there hasn't really been an answer. And I think a lot of the teams are just saying, you know what, let's not let the guard play, the 3-ball beat us. Let's not let the superstar beat us. I'm gonna keep riding with Ayton. He's been the man. Been enjoying watching him play. So there you go. Both guests are on opposite sides. Kate likes the Suns -1. Spread Astaire. New line +1.5. We'll see what happens.
Best of luck tonight, spread.
Oh yeah, thank you. One way or the other, it'll be a lot of fun.
All right, a couple of thoughts. Any total thoughts here, spread? You're not going down that wave yet again, are you? You maybe leaning under? You go back to that well? Not quoting on anything. Any quick thoughts on over under here, spread?
Yeah, quick thoughts. You can make a case for both. I will make a case for the under. My case, if you were to make a case for the over, both teams didn't shoot very well from 3, right? So if that regresses to the mean, which in this case would mean they would shoot better, the score goes up. But with Paul back in the game, we know the pace will be slower. The game only got to 207 last game. I'll go ahead and stick with the under here.
Yeah, it's a tough one because you're just kind of both these teams can shoot the rock, as we know, particularly the Clippers. Kate, any quick thoughts there on
I'm
the
going to
total?
stay away from betting the over/under. I don't have great luck with this bet, so I tend to kind of push that one aside. But I agree with Spread's reasoning. I think Chris Paul will slow the game down. I think both teams will shoot a little bit better, but I don't see that being enough to push this over.
Keep in mind at FanDuel right now, you can bet a same game parlay. Kate mentioned Ayton to score over 20 points and the Suns to win. Currently at FanDuel, if you bet that, plus 405.
All right, so that's, I suppose, where I should put my money tonight if I'm taking both of those.
That's interesting. Kate delivering. And listen, and keep in mind, Kate's been on the show twice. She's not lost. I think she's 4-0 or 3-0 or whatever. She's back to Bucks, and now she's going to another game, and we'll see what she can't get here. So, Spread, that's not great that she's on the Suns here because she hasn't really lost. So.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
so,
everyone has to lose eventually. That's gambling, isn't it?
No, that's very, very true. Very, very true. Good stuff. Spread, any props you're looking at? You have any? We even kind of, taking a look at some of these ancillary guys. Does Chris Paul just come out and kind of play pissed off and you got to realize he's probably pretty annoyed. I'd be pretty irritated if I was him. But how do you think he plays tonight?
Yeah, I think we'll get a good performance from Chris Paul. I don't know if he'll be. He just watched this team do quite well without him, right?
That's true.
The point of the game is to win at this point. I don't think he's too worried about his stat line. He wants that W. I'm sure he'll be keep feeding those guys the hot hands. Ayton, like you said, he's the best matchup they have because we just don't have an answer. Ty Lue could be Phil Jackson, Red Auerbach, whatever great coach you want to call back. You just don't have a guy who can physically match up with him. So he's got to obviously continue that. Booker, at this point, it doesn't matter who guarded him. You can have the best defender in the NBA on him, and he's still going to score. I think that he'll continue to go for that. I like to look for the role players here, but today, I think they priced me out. My Marcus Morris is at 11.5. That number's about right. Doesn't seem to have an edge. Reggie Jackson was the other one I was looking for. 18.5. It's too rich for my blood, so I'm staying away from the role player props for the home team tonight.
Sounds good. A couple of pieces of news in the NBA. The Indiana Pacers have made an absolutely terrific coaching hire, bringing in Rick Carlisle, 4-year, $29 million deal, going to make about $7 million a season. Listen, Spread, what a hire here. This is a team that has really had some issues with coaching hires recently. Nate McMillan didn't work out there. Bjorkgren was a complete mess. This is quite the hire. Watch out. Pacers are a team that were right on the doorstep in the East. Didn't have a great season, had a lot of injuries, but you're going to get, you would hope, a healthy Miles Turner back. You get a healthy Sabonis, who's terrific. Whether they can retain Brogdon, we'll see. Karis LeVert's a star. They're going to have a high-end pick. I've said before, I think this is, and again, there's no better person at the draft than me. Let me toot my own horn. I'm the best talent acquisition guy that you could ask for. The 10 to 15 range in this year's NBA draft is very good. Whether it's Corey Kispert, whether it's Ayu Dosunmu, there's a lot of very good talent where they're picking. Spread, I'll ask you first. This is a nice addition here. Rick Carlisle's a top guy.
Yeah, this is huge. And the main thing is if you're doing the NBA like trade scenarios where you're trying to upgrade your team, go ahead and take all those Pacers big names off the list, right? Because going in, we weren't really sure, okay, is this team going to break it down and go for the full rebuild, or are they going to build around the pieces they have? To me, the addition of Rick Carlisle signifies that this team is going to go for it next year. They will be buyers, not sellers on the market, so no more fake trades for Sabonis or Turner or things like that. I think they will be going in the right direction. And, hey, Carlisle's a good guy to get this team going where they need to be going. Bjorkgren seemed to scheme pretty well, didn't get along with the players that well. A little bit of issues with that out of Carlisle, right? But, I mean, it's such the track record. I assume he's going to get things right. Big things. And, boy, wouldn't Corey Kispert just be the total Pacers pick here? I mean,
No, that's that was going to be something I was going to point out. He just seems like a stone cold pacer guy.
Yeah.
And I think he would be a big help to what they do. Kate, any thoughts on that and or Boston? They hire Ime Udoka to be their next head coach. I've said before, well, I don't know if I've said it on this show, but I'll say it quickly. They're another team I'm going to be very much buying on in the offseason. They had a really disappointing season, but Jaylen Brown was injured. Jason Tatum's a superstar. Marcus Smart is a defensive genius. They have to go out and address the front court. I'm not going to say that Al Horford is the answer, because he's not the answer. But he is at home in Boston. He's a veteran. He's a pretty good player still, and he can defend his ass off. He's a leader. That's a guy you need on a team like this. They've gotten the stuff that they didn't want out of this locker room, whether it was Kyrie or Kemba. You know, maybe you go out and address the Gordon Hayward move last year, get another shooter in here, get another front court player. But that team's made a nice hire as well. So a couple of East Coast coaching hires, both pretty good hires.
Yeah, like you said, I like the roster and the guys that they have for next year, and I like that they got rid of Kemba. So I think this hire, bringing in this new head coach, is kind of a fresh start for them in a sense. I mean, they thought they had the roster to make a deep playoff run these last couple of years, and that Brad Stevens was the guy. But I think with Stevens moving to the front office and being the person to hire the coach to take over for him, I think that will go a long way. And then I've also heard reports that the players really like him. So that's always a very positive thing right off the bat as the team enters into a new season. I'm also a little worried about the Brooklyn Nets because their top assistants are all heading to head coaching positions or might be on their way. So as much as the Nets are a favorite next year if they're all healthy, they might have to do some tweaking on the coaching side.
Yeah, I don't know, but that kind of seemed like a doom hire to be. I don't know. I didn't seem like that would work out from the beginning, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, both teams, Indiana and Boston, I'm going to be very much buying. Quickly, also a spread. Let me ask you this: Ben Simmons, that stuff continues to be cooked up around here. You're starting to see in this town all sorts of trade possibilities. I'm beginning to like one. Look, I don't know if the Lillard stuff's going to happen. I'm getting more and more reason to believe that he ain't going to leave Portland, and this team's going to have to settle for something else. Let me ask you. Let's say this trade's presented to you from San Antonio. DeJounte Murray, Vassell, and the 12th pick. Would you do that?
That would be a highway robbery for Philadelphia.
I would agree. Like, I think that's because let's be real. Murray is much more. I think he's got a lot more upside.
He's got a work ethic. I mean,
yeah.
that's just
and he's a good
that's
point guard.
The base that we need, right?
Yeah, he's a good point guard.
Yeah.
So you slot him in, and he's young. Vassell is a 3-and-D genius. I mean, I loved him coming out of Florida State. Kid can shoot. And at 12, I just said this is one of the strongest back lottery drafts we have. You get yourself a Dosunmu, you get yourself a big. There's a lot of things you can do there. Do you do the McCollum and Covington route? Do you go to the Washington Wizards, see what you can get from them? Kate, let me present a trade to you.
Mm-hmm.
If the Wizards called you and said, this is what we're going to do. We want Ben Simmons. We will give you Russell Westbrook straight up for Ben Simmons. Do you do that? Because I'll tell you what I would do.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he hasn't done anything to get Philly over that hump. But if I say to you, what has Russell Westbrook ever won? Well, Russell Westbrook can score.
That's true.
He can shoot the ball.
He can do something that Ben
Simmons is a little lost in that locker room too.
Yeah.
How do you bounce back from something like that?
Yeah.
Unless he drastically improves over the summer, I kind of think what they've had from him so far hasn't worked. It hasn't gotten the job done in the last 2 years. So what makes you think it's going to happen again? So I would say, sure, why not give it a try?
Yeah, the top three once I want to see this team do. Lillard would be one. Beal would be two. And then 3 would be that Spurs trade. I think that Spurs trade is intriguing.
I don't think the Spurs would give up that much. It's just so one-sided.
Could you imagine if Ben Simmons goes to San Antonio? Oh, my God, that would be great. Could you imagine him doing what he does with Popovich on the sidelines?
Yeah, I know, huh?
Popovich would say, sit the hell down, you imbecile. God,
Popovich would probably turn him into a pure scorer, pure shooter.
No, I know. He would become the next
he
would become the next Manu Ginobili, for sure. Like, for sure. He would be the next Manu Ginobili, for sure.
Jeff, what if we offered you Heald, Bagley, and a pick swap for the first round? So you get our 9 and we get your 20-something.
So you say Heald, Bagley, and a pick. Wow, 9th pick? I'll be honest. You could offer me... There's not a lot I'm saying no to. And Bagley would address your four. You could put him at the 4. I mean, I think along with Embiid, that'd be a nice little tandem.
And if you had Heald and Curry on opposite sides, I mean, Embiid would get 14 assists a game. You couldn't double him anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, Heald is I'm a bit a fan of since Oklahoma. So, I think he's also. I think you can obviously tell he's a little sick of playing out there.
Oh, he doesn't want to be here. That's the reason I think those two might be on their way out. They're definitely not vibing.
Yeah,
with
and you
the
look
coach and the
at
management.
9. I mean, I could do a multitude of things. Whether it's Book Night, whether it's Davian Mitchell, whether it's Kai Jones. I mean, there's a multitude of things I could do there. So, yeah. Sacramento is a team I feel like I could fleece. To be real,
Yeah.
and you know what? I think they the idea for me is I want to keep and retain Embiid, Curry, and Harris, because I think Harris is still, 3rd or 4th option that I want. So, yeah.
What about? I'm going to throw one out for you guys. What about the Warriors somehow acquiring them to have Steph, Clay, Simmons, Draymond, Wiseman?
Who am I getting back?
Yeah, I thought the Warriors too, but it's like, who do they give up?
Yeah, explain who I'm getting back. If I'd like to hear what you're thinking. Look, if I'm going to get Klay Thompson back, I'm in.
You'd have to. I think Draymond would be the one that would be in there. I don't know if he helps.
Draymond's the same player.
It's the same issue.
I'm good. No,
yeah.
That's what I would.
Cares. That's the only difference.
But let me ask you guys: if someone contacts me and says, "Listen, we will give you Draymond Green straight up for Ben Simmons," I actually probably would do that, because I know at least Draymond will shoot as well. Is there any player in the NBA I wouldn't trade straight up right now for Ben Simmons? Seriously. Because they can all do something he can.
Yeah. And even if it was someone who wasn't very good, you get like a $28 million trade exception. So it's like you'd be able to move someone else in.
Listen, I don't know. But Doc Rivers needs to get blamed too, because Doc Rivers needs to grow some and say, hey, sit the hell down. You're not doing what we need you to do. Maxi's in. He's going to finish the game. That's – and another thing. This is another thing the Sixers need to do. Make second-round picks so you can address the bench, because the bench sucks as well. This is a very strong draft, very strong. Anyone that tells you it isn't knows nothing. This is a very strong group. From 1 to 60, there are a lot of players here. There are players that will not get drafted that, like Luka Garza, that were the best players in the country last year. This is a strong draft. So make picks.
Hey, Jeff, so a guy slotted to me, and I don't watch college. You watch 1,000 times what I do. Franz Wagner slotted to go at 9. Should I be happy to get him? At first, I was like, he's not good.
No, well, I wouldn't say he's not good. I guess you're hoping like he could be Bielika, right? Like, and you've seen him.
I guess with the number 9 pick, though, you want a little more than Bielika, right?
Yeah, but I think he has the ability to do really everything. I think he's a guy that I'm more interested than his brother, Moritz Wagner. I think he can, and what I think you'd be excited about with him is he can guard at this level at multiple positions, which I think is one of his better traits. He's a good offensive player, can get to the rim, but he's very durable and can guard multiple positions. He's a big kid too. I mean, 6'9", 220. You could play the 3, you could play the 2, but he can also guard the 3 and the 2. Can he guard at that level of the highest end players in the world? I don't know, but yeah, he's a better option than his brother. But is he a top 10 pick? I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. And I don't know. But he has that Euro feel to him, so I think, Bielika, and we've seen it. Bogdanovich, this kind of guy. Could he be that guy? Maybe.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's intriguing about him. So he's flying up the board. So I'm really excited to get to some mocks here coming up. Okay, before we go, let's find out a little bit more about these folks. Kate Constable, let us know where we can find you, what you have going on, and you've been killing it. So I'm sure people are going to want to follow you.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Kate Constable. I also doing some work with Fix Picks. It is we have an AI model that we predict playoff games, and actually have been doing very well. So you can go over to fixpicks.com to check out which games we have selected. Also creating a very cool bet tracking app that'll track all your bets and give you trends on where you're doing well, where you're not, those types of things. So at Kate Constable and at FixPicks on Twitter.
Definitely a fascinating way to pick games for sure. Spread Astaire, we know where we can find you at Spread Astaire. Let me ask you, you bet NBA or you bet NFL, right?
Yeah.
Excited about NFL? It's coming up.
I was actually thinking about that. It's like it was about time for me to recreate my my Reddit account where I follow every NFL subreddit. Like, I haven't been on there for a while, so I need to start sneaking in here and seeing what all these fan bases are saying about their team. So yeah, it's like with the schedule changing, right? The NBA is going to end around the middle of July, and then we're going to be
perfect.
Yeah, the preseason games are going to start. We're going to be getting real reports, not just these camp reports where every rookie looks good. And has a rookie ever had a bad mini camp?
No. No. We've heard in this town how like they'll be receiver. Like there was a guy a couple years ago called Paul Turner. He was from Louisiana Tech in Philly.
Yeah,
he went to Louisiana Tech. People talk like he was the next Jerry Rice. Like this guy's got to be on this team. He doesn't even make the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. August 5th is the Hall of Fame game, by the way. It might not even be August. I think it's earlier than that. I think it's the last week in July. I might be wrong. Let me double check. I was so sure that it was August 5th. Hall of Fame game is August 5th. Wow, like a month.
Yeah.
Next week will be
and we're gonna have the Olympics in there sometime too. I don't even know. I was thinking like, I'll have some time off from basketball capping, but then I was like, wait a second, I'll probably be capping these international tournaments.
Yeah, wanted to quickly touch on the Olympics. I forgot about that. According to the Emperor of Japan, they're extremely worried, according to him, about hosting the Olympic Games. Again, not quite sure why. Vaccinate every athlete.
They still have an emperor?
That's a better question.
That's what, according to CBS Sports, the Japanese emperor is extremely worried. That person is called.
Well, let him know the Queen allowed Wimbledon, so he needs to do his part too.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, let's make it happen. People want the Olympics. It's a busy summer, but you're right. The NBA is going to end right at, the end of the July. A couple of weeks, we'll get college football starting. And before we know it, it'll be football and then basketball again. So, all right, check me out. I have a show called The Sit Down. It is completely different than what we're talking about here. But if you like the mafia, you like mafia history, you like to learn about people killing hundreds of people, this is the show for you. We talk about chopping up bodies. We got a guy next week we're going to talk about that I don't know, might be one of the most dangerous people in the history of this country. He was so dangerous, they've put him in a prison where he has no communication with anyone. That's how dangerous he is. So we're going to talk about all these people, and you can find that on The Sit Down. Go check that out. The mafia has controlled this country for a long time. Not anymore, but they used to. We'll tell you about the history. Just go check out The Sit Down. We crossed 100,000 listeners in 11 episodes, and I'm very proud of that. So thank you. Go check that out if you like that kind of stuff. Also, one final quick thing. What a awful story in Florida, that condo collapse. Did you guys see that video? That's horrific.
I didn't see the video, but I got the alert on it for my phone. That's terrible.
I mean, literally in the middle of the night, the condo just collapses.
Ugh.
Holy hell, that's terrible. I live in a building like that. Not that big, but I mean,
that's
just
terrifying.
Absolutely horrible. But okay, guys, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you both. We'll talk to you again next week. Kate Constable, check her out. She's killing it on this show. I'm sure she's killing it in real life in general. It wouldn't surprise me. Spread Astaire. Go check him out as well. Spread, I'm sure we'll talk to you next week as well.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks to the commenters for watching. Thanks for the replay viewers. Thanks for checking this out. We're here tomorrow. Ian Cameron will join us for our Friday episode. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Hoops Betting